can you ask Pavlov if he is racist? Does he believe that certain races are better than others in terms of IQ, intelligence,
Yeah,
and
this ties in
genetics?
nicely. So I want to talk about the idea that I hear that comes up very often in a number of different ways. So I raised it before in Speaker's Corner. I didn't get a satisfactory response to it. So I want to see what you guys think about it. Is the idea that people claim to be proud of something that they did not achieve. I'm really interested in this idea because I find it perplexing. I don't see how people can look at things that happened in the past and claim the glory of that for themselves when it was nothing to do with their character or actions or self-discipline or skill that enabled that to happen. Nothing at all. You're a completely different person. Now you could say, well, it's something about your DNA and it's your genetic lineage. I mean, we don't know anything about that, so we can't claim that, and it seems fallacious to me. That's what I want to say. So it's this whole like, oh, I'm proud to be this. I'm proud because of that. I'm proud to belong to here. I don't see utility in it. I see divisiveness in it, and I see it as how do you call it? I think it's being disingenuous to yourself, like claiming the glory of someone else for you.
I know what you mean.
My brother once said, have you noticed the poorer you are, the more proud you are to be English in this country, for example. It brings that back up nationalism. The poor will generally be more nationalistic. Is it, and I'm not saying poor people have less to be proud of, but is it searching for something to be proud of, maybe not feeling empowered, and then you look to the past. I mean, I'll bang on about nationalism for a little bit longer. Mussolini had to look all the way back to the time of the Roman Empire to have anything to be proud of. Hitler, likewise, I think, invented a sort of an Aryan mythology to have anything to be proud of. So yeah, maybe it is natural to want to be proud of something, and if you haven't got much, you start inventing it, or you join clubs that make you feel proud.
But that's not a weakness of character.
It probably is. I mean, you've just got to ask people what football team they support, and you probably know what decade they were born in. There's kids 10 years old now support Man City, and they're from the south of England.
Right.
It's glory seeking. We all do it at whatever level. It probably is.
I definitely try not to.
Oh, good. I think that's good that you try not to.
I'm going to say
it probably is a weakness, but it's human nature, which is a weakness.
But I would say, I understand what you're saying, but I would say that human nature that I would appreciate is the one that requires you to change yourself, to actualize the noble goal of man, to strive upwards, to reorganize your psyche, to reorganize yourself, to be able to improve your life in even a small way. You take ownership of that, that becomes something that you have, that you did because of you. Therefore, you could be proud of that if you like.
Yeah.
You understand? That's where I'm coming from. Obviously, I understand the logic of what you're saying. With that, I understand it, I see it, I acknowledge
my
it.
explanation doesn't mean it's right or a good thing.
The whole concept of it frustrates me quite intensely when you have, for example, you got, I don't know, when we encountered ethno-nationalists before, and I think it must be ego defense or a lack of having a grounding in their lives. And I don't want to personally attack people because I understand it. If you don't know where you are, or if you don't know where you came from, it's difficult to try and build an idea of self. I acknowledge the difficulty because I've experienced it. I mean, we all have. So we look to the past, we look to our ancestors to see what people were like before. And I would say the best thing you can get from that is to try and emulate greatness and to actualize it in your own life, not to claim ownership of it and your lineage is better than somebody else's. What a load of bunk, man.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay. I think that the ones who bang their chests the most are the most insecure people. You don't need to bang your chest and keep shouting in the faces of the others. I did this, my people did this, my people did that, to be able to feel secure. If you are sure,
I'm watching it.
It's near the truth, should be right.
The gust of wind might just take out the camera.
Okay.
So I don't agree with the excessive, chest banging of sorts, of the excessive pride in the past.
What about the oppression Olympics?
Huh?
You're not into that either. People that I remember recently, you were saying, why is having been oppressed or my people suffered?
Oh yeah,
is like a badge of honor.
That's another terrible thing. That's even worse than banging your chest and shouting your people achieved something.
But what if you were from a people that overcame oppression?
Yeah, that's better. That's much better.
That is something to be celebrated.
To overcome.
Is it? What about your personal journey? Well, this is what I'm going to keep coming back to.
Okay,
no, but wait. I think I can answer your question now.
Okay, go.
Now, it is necessary for people to have some pride in the past because it puts the stake higher. It makes them think that, my ancestors achieved this, they achieved this, they achieved this. Good things need to always be good things that they did. They increased, they improved the world in this way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because it raises the stake for your own achievements, and I think that's very useful for humans.
Raising the bar.
Yes, raising the bar, exactly.
Make America getting great again.
Yeah, without getting too arrogant with it. You know what I mean?
What if that bar is imaginary and exaggerated?
Well, of course it's imaginary. It's an imaginary bar. Nobody's lying about that. Nobody's saying that it's a real bar.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I've heard a lot of talk about people claiming that their cultures and histories are the best and greater than everyone else's. I hear a lot of talk of that.
Heard so too.
Like, for instance, I hear lots of people talking about Western civilization and claiming ownership of it.
Yes.
When I doubt they could name a historical figure of significant value from that lineage, if you know what I mean. There might be a concept of Western civilization and like a philosophical root of it. I believe that there is, but I think the people that drone on about it actually don't know what it means. And even so, because you were born in a certain place, that means that you've somehow inherited Enlightenment values or something like this. You've inherited the ability to critically think and analyze. Have you fuck? Like, you're saying, well, I'm from here, these are my guys, they're better than yours. Look at how inferior you are to us. That's what they're saying. It's barely cloaked at all.
It has.
What they're saying.
It does
retarded.
make sense slightly, in the sense that if you are the descendant of a great civilization, it means that civilization has raised you. And it has implemented that greatness, that strive to improvement, to success into you.
But it hasn't. It hasn't. If all they do is claim that they're superior.
Yes, that's what I'm against. About claiming that you're superior to everybody. I see the evolution of mankind as those runners who run and they pass the stick to each other.
Yeah.
I see it like that. Yes. I see it like that. There was no one nation, no one race, no one people that did all the work, and everybody just, profited from it.
Can I interrupt you? May I interrupt you with a question from a commenter on the channel? This is for Life 24/7. Can you ask Pavlov if he is racist? Does he believe that certain races are better than others in terms of IQ, intelligence, and
this
genetics,
ties in nicely.
causing higher intelligence than IQ? I have a feeling Pavlov is a white nationalist and hates feminists. I don't know why they've thrown their...
I mean, we can talk about that part.
Why not? Well, yeah, we can.
I've been discovered. I have been discovered, guys. That's it.
Well,
I have to leave.
Blown his cover.
Okay.
Are you a racist?
Okay, am I a racist? What is racism? That's the first question to ask. Now let's answer that question gradually. If for a person being racist means that you don't agree with the idea that there are absolutely and utterly zero differences between different races, that there is no race but the human race, then yes, I am a racist.
You are.
I do believe that there are slight differences between different, races.
Black people got darker skin.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. We can't
imagine and say I don't
living
see
in an
colour.
imaginary world.
People who say I don't see race.
Yes, we can't live like that.
Lying.
In the other hand, if you're a leftist snowflake who calls racist or sexist or Nazi whoever doesn't agree with you, then yes, I'm a racist because I disagree with what you're saying. But if you think that racism is discriminating on people, discarding anything they say, and simply disrespecting them because of a skin color or because of a quality of of their face, of their body, then absolutely not. I've been completely against it throughout all the time that I've been in Speaker's Corner. I defend meritocracy above everything. If a race, and that's why I'm not afraid of people actually studying race. Because if it's discovered that, for example, this specific people, let's say in the middle of Asia, let's point a random country, we were talking about Afghanistan, let's point Afghanistan, that those specific people in that region have really, really high IQs, incredibly high IQs. Then yes, I do believe that those people should be given higher posts, because they can manage the other people more efficiently.
There is a correlation between IQ score as tested in IQ tests and racial groups. The only question is that down to biology or environmental factors?
There are many different factors to it.
Somewhere in between two.
Yeah.
It could be
Yeah. What many people say, usually racists say, that Africa has a very incredibly low IQ, because they look, at the map, and Africa is shown with a very low IQ compared to other countries. Those tests don't take into consideration the physical and the educational state of the people who live in Africa. There is not a lot of good education in Africa. There is a lot of malnutrition. There is a lot of poverty. There is a lot of all those things, and that influences how you will, do the IQ test. Obviously, I think that's worth taking into consideration.
The next question to ask here is something I was thinking about with a friend of mine earlier today, is that let's say hypothetically that we do discover that some races have much lower IQs and some have much higher, significant. Let's say that is the case, and let's say that we could narrow it down to a certain genotype, so we're not just talking about this phantom of race that we can never define. Let's say we actually have the code DNA of what it means. What then? What's the utility of that knowledge? It's a real question. What's the utility of knowledge? I would say zero. Like if you look at the factors that influence brain development, of course I don't know enough about this. Huge factors, like you mentioned, is nutrition.
Yes.
Childhood nutrition and childhood, not just education in the way that we understand it, but having effective raising of children with safe, comfortable families. Don't know how to articulate
stability.
That. You understand me?
Stability.
It's that type of environment for raising children. It's having effective nutrition that causes effective brain development. Now, whether that's directly linked to IQ, I'm not sure, but it's obviously a better thing if children are more nourished, right? We can just leave it there. But like I said, if I'm engaging in conversations with people who are claiming that, for example, somehow some white race or something or some other group has a high IQ than others, my only question then is, okay, if it's true, what's next? Does that give you divine right to rule over them or something like this? Or does that give you the right to exploit them? Or are they inferior to you in some tangible aspect of humanity? What next? That's the key question. There's nothing else. What
if it's
you understand
discovered?
Me? If you can give me a better question than that, please give me a question. Because if we're armed with that knowledge, we need to say, what do we do with that knowledge? I wouldn't see you could do anything of value. It would just end up being a superiority game.
But look, William Wallace, I thought about the same question that you're asking yourself right now. And I think that the absolute best way to fight racism in your mind is studying history. That is the absolute best way to know that, some people say that whites were the ones who invented everything. It's kind of bullshit, because there were some times that, for example, the Islamic Golden Age, in that time, it was the Middle East that was the center of civilization. During a lot of history, there was the center of civilization was in China, or in Mesopotamia, or in Egypt. But let me not stray too far from what you said.
I hope not.
What if it's discovered that specific people has a lower performance in terms of IQ? Is that what you mean? And there's almost zero data. Sorry, I like this. I like to play with the bubbles when I was a kid. Kind of lost what I was saying. And there is almost zero possibility that the test is wrong. What do you do then? Is that your question? Just to make sure that I understand your question.
I thought it was clear, yeah? Do you understand my question as well?
I think so, yeah. What do we do with that fact?
With that knowledge,
if it's true. I mean,
what's the purpose of that knowledge? What can we do with it?
I think having a higher IQ, whatever that means, doesn't make you more moral, doesn't make you funnier, doesn't make you better at sport or
Come on, you
better
can't
at
use
music.
funny as a.
Is it not good to be funny?
It is good. It's always good.
I think
But,
humor
doesn't build societies.
Oh,
I think it does. Well, all right.
Humor does build society.
I think it keeps society alive.
Absolutely.
No,
think it's
humor
important.
helps us live with the tragedy of the world.
But
That's what humor
that's
is
called survival.
good for.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, it's important.
Give me a dictatorship where there's humor. Can't.
Okay, no, listen.
Can't.
No, wait.
First thing to die.
Wait.